Good morning, Master, Shifu of the Abode, Brother Joe, and brothers and sisters all around the world. I'm very honored to be the facilitator for this morning session of Wondrous Dharma Review of the Lotus Sutra. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to Brother Joe for making time to be with us. As we know, Brother Joe, you are very busy and yet you take your precious time out to teach us, to guide us, and to benefit us all. So on behalf of everyone, I would like to express my gratitude to you. With me this morning, we have Brother Chris, Sister Xin, and Brother Robert Lim. I'm truly thankful to all the three of them for taking their valuable time to prepare and share these various episodes with us. Sister Dr. Ho Xin is our first sharer, and a bit of background of Dr. Ho. In 2011, Dr. Ho, who was still a trainee doctor then, went to Tzu Chi Medical in Hualien, Taiwan, to observe a simulated surgery class. And this surgery class and the silent mentors, a moving experience, was a turning point in her life, she said. She witnessed the respectful and humane treatment Tzu Chi accorded to the silent mentors and was profoundly touched by the selfless act of giving by the body donors. Upon coming back to Taiwan, she joined Tzu Chi and later quit her job at the hospital and joined a family medical practitioner in Singapore as a general practitioner, with the hope of serving patients with more humanistic approach and truly putting what she has learned from Tzu Chi into practice. She said the words of Dharma Master Chen Yen have given her a lot of inspiration, and she hopes to encourage and guide more medical personnel to practice humanistic care and serve patients with more empathy and compassion. So Sister Xin will share with us on episode 717, Developing the Four Unobstructed Wisdoms. And the stanza reads, "The wisdom of unobstructed Dharma is the complete understanding of all teachings and unhindered discernment of all principles. The wisdom of unobstructed meaning is the knowledge of all teachings and unobstructed comprehension of the principles. The wisdom of unobstructed rhetoric is proficiency in every kind of language and the ability to teach in them at will. The wisdom of unobstructed joy in speaking is the teaching of the Dharma's meaning perfectly, without hindrance and with joyful eloquence and freedom." Over to you, Dr. Ho.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Okay, hi, I'm Xin, and today actually I'm sharing on behalf of Sister Saichen, who actually prepared this PowerPoint, but she's unable to make it today. Okay, so also really very感恩 for this 因缘, because actually I watched this episode before myself, and then after looking through her PowerPoint, I realized like, oh wow, we really have a very different perspective and understanding of Master's teaching. Yeah, so I think really 感恩 that from Sister Saichen, she's willing to share her experience and her understanding, and then she's prepared a really nice PowerPoint for all of us. So I'd like to share this with you. Okay, so let's start with the teachings. Yeah, so as what Sister Sharon mentioned earlier, Master started this episode with explaining the four unobstructed wisdoms, which is the wisdom of unobstructed Dharma, the wisdom of unobstructed meaning, the wisdom of unobstructed rhetoric, and then the wisdom of unobstructed joy in speaking. So, so these four unobstructed wisdoms are actually skills that we have to acquire so that we can share the Dharma with others. Okay, so the next part, the next slide. So Master moved on to share with us about the three treasures, which is actually encompass all of Buddha's teachings. Okay, so as we share the Dharma, these are the content that Buddha has taught us, and then Buddha's disciples have categorized them into these three categories, which are the Vinaya, the Sutta, and the Abhidhamma. So Sister Saichen put this slide just to let us have an overview of this, how vast Buddha's teachings are and how they have been categorized. So we move on to the next slide, which is a little more about how Master explained in this episode about the three treasuries. So actually, they are categorized into the sutras, the Vinayas, which are the rules, and then Abhidhamma, which are the treatises. So the sutras, according to Master, actually teach us the study of samadhi, which helps us remove our discursive thoughts and give rise to concentration. And the Vinaya, the rules, actually teach the study of precepts, which actually help to cultivate our discipline. And the treatise teach the study of wisdom. It's like how we are doing now our book sharing, our sharing sessions on the Dharma. So actually these three, as you sounds very familiar, right? Actually, they are the three flawless studies, the 三无漏学, the 戒定慧 lah, which is actually what the three categories of Buddha's teaching actually will help us cultivate in our own cultivation. Okay, so the next part. Yeah, so moving on, Master spoke about the 12 divisions of the teachings, okay, which is also very interesting. I never heard before. Okay, so Buddha's teaching can be categorized into these 12 categories, which are the prose, the repeated verse, independent verse, analogies, causes and conditions, unrequested teachings, and the previous lives of Buddha, previous lives of disciples, and what never existed before, the broad teachings, explanations of doctrine, and prediction of Buddhahood. So I think as you study the Buddha's teachings, right, actually it can be categorized into these 12 categories. And Sister Sharon would like to highlight number 3, which is the independent verse, the Gu Qi. So actually, this is quite interesting because as we disciples of Master, we watch the 净师成语, we listen to Master's morning sermons, and then so Master usually have the like the few lines where Master wrote herself as a what we call the 上人手札, right? To actually it's actually independent of the sutra, but actually it's what Master actually understand and what she got out of the episode, the teachings that she's going to share with us. Yeah, so it's actually her own independent understanding that she actually written in the verse form to share with us, which is actually like part of the 12 categories of the teachings actually under independent verse. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, so how can we like put all this, actually this episode is pretty technical lah, but how can we put all this into our own practice? Yeah, so the next slide, right, actually Sister Sharon would like to share with you all about this her experience in Cambodia, because she actually had been going to Cambodia a number of times to help with the training, and then she also joined the Fa Fang, giving out of the rice, and then went to the La Ji San, yeah, to go and to give them the solar panels that actually provide them with electricity. Yeah, so we have a video. Yeah, maybe we can show the video first. Yeah, and then sister.
逐垃圾而居，青色身上标配是抵挡劣质蚊虫的草帽和长袖衣裤，数百户人家勉强维持最低度所需。这天，垃圾山来了访客，也是老朋友。
太阳很大哦，那大家站在太阳底下呢，晒得很辛苦，但是呢，对太阳能它是很好的。
ជួយកាត់បន្ថយភ្លើងហើយពេលយប់អីយើងមិនបាច់ប្រើភ្លើងរត់ទេយើងបើកភ្លើងនេះទៅវារៀងសំចៃភ្លើងមកខ្លះបាទហើយបើអ្នកជិតខាងគេអត់ចេះអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចទៅជួយប្រាប់គេជួយតគេបាន
结束发放，志工深入走访一个个简陋拼装的家，协助安装。
可以试试看吗？
ភ្លឺកូនបានគាត់លេងអាពេលនេះគាត់ល្ងិតបាក់មើលបាក់ហូបបាយពេលយកពីវត្តហ្នឹងបាក់ហូបបាយពួកគាត់ហូបពេលបាយហូបពេលយប់មកពីលើមកពីអីតយប់បានហូបបាយ
很痛心的就是说这种环境居然居住在这个地方，小孩一出生呢就在这个环境里面 ，OK。我们其实能够奉献的东西非常非常少，希望我们捐的这个灯呢，让小孩能够在晚上的时候呢，能够阅读，将来通过教育能够逐渐改变他们未来的生活。
这盏光不只照亮眼前，更要照亮孩子的人生路，翻转贫穷。大爱新闻潘晓彤、洪文清柬埔寨报道。
Okay, so you can see from the video, right? Actually, yes, the previous slide, sister. Yeah, actually, it's even though we don't know the language in Cambodia, Khmer, but we are actually able to bring Master's great love to the residents of the Latisan, and then to also give them hope, give them electricity, give them light, yeah, so that the future generation can have better education. Yeah, so all these are actually like Dharma. Yeah, and sister said that, you know, actually it's like our 4 unobstructed wisdoms, right? Even though like there's a language barrier, but we are still able to deliver the Dharma to them and give them the love and care. Yeah, so lastly, the last slide, sister would also like to share with us about this very nice table that she's done from Brother Harishan's Dharma study class on 17 November. So actually, basically, Brother categorize the Master's teaching, the philosophy and practices of Master Cheng Yen into 2 categories: self-cultivation and the practice method, which is the adaptation of the teachings. So so she'd like to just highlight to us that actually our whole practice as we walk the Bodhisattva path can be actually focused on these 2, which is the self-cultivation and the following sutras like the 37 practices enlightenment, the compassion, samadhi, water, repentance. So they are all to help us in our self-cultivation. As for the practice, the actual practice of the Bodhisattva practice, the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, the Medicine Buddha Sutra, and the Di Zhang Jing, yeah, they are all to inspire us in this aspect. And all of these are actually encompassed within a Lotus Sutra that we are all learning now. Yeah, so as we walk the path, maybe like sometimes we can get a little bit lost. So just refer to this roadmap and make sure that we are walking according to Master's teaching. And as we learn the sutra, we know where we are heading. Yeah, so this is the sharing for today. Kan eun everyone for listening.
Kanan Sister Senchi Nai, that is so true. No matter what we say, what language we use, if we are able to thoroughly and perfectly explain the Dharma, we understand, then all the principles will be applicable. Let's just hear from Brother Joe. Over to you, Brother Joe.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Sorry I joined late, but I heard the last part of the sharing. Indeed, I think there are many parts of the cultivation, and there are the self-cultivation and also the actual practice. Even though that what we are hearing right now together, when we're studying together, it's part of ourself, it's part of our realization. But I think a lot of what Tzu Chi does, and also what was just shown on the news footage, was indeed something that we can actually practice. And I think that's one of the hardest parts. It sounds easy, but it's one of the hardest parts. And that's what we're trying to do here is, I think all of you are showing that it's not as hard as it seems. Even though for those people that haven't done so, it is still difficult. It is still not easy to do, but I think it's still something that we strive to do. So I apologize, I started late. I couldn't provide much of the feedback, but we can continue. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Our next sharer is Brother Chris. As we all know, Brother Chris is, Brother Chris is a very diligent brother and has been a facilitator for the English book study group since the beginning. In fact, that's how I got to know Brother Chris. I have not had a chance to meet Brother Chris in person yet, but I heard that Brother Chris loves gardening and has green fingers. Brother Chris often share his personal thoughts, and I remember there's once Brother Chris wrote, "With faith in the Dharma, our minds will be calm and confident. We then will have faith and trust in ourselves and in others, which in turn removes our doubts, worries, anxieties, hence fortified with unlimited strength to face any and all challenges that arise as we strive to do good deeds to benefit others." So Brother Chris will share with us this morning on episode 723, Accept the Dharma with Faith and Understanding. And the stanza reads, Faith is in an understanding of all Dharma is the source of the way of merits and virtues. Those with deep wisdom are able to reach an understanding through parables like that of the elder, the burning house, the 3 carts, and the 1 vehicle. They comprehend the true emptiness and thoroughly realize wondrous existence. So over to you, Brother Chris.
Good morning, Abode Masters, Brother Joe, brothers and sisters. I have looked at this and viewed the episode 723 a few times. After viewing the episode, I've contemplated on the words Dharma and faith. Our encountering the Dharma in this lifetime was due to our past causes and conditions. The vows and aspirations made long, long ago are still with us. Next, I ask myself this question. Next slide, please.
Oops. Oh, sorry. Oops. Oops. Give me a second. And what's that? Okay.
Next, I ask myself this question. How do we develop faith in the Dharma? Now that we have already encountered the Dharma, I believe that there is already a seed of faith in us. The awakening and sprouting of that seed happens when conditions ripen. And this condition can be through incidents, which for some may be dramatic, and some others may be just small incidents or events over time. So next question I ask myself is, how do we grow and sustain this seedling of faith in the Dharma? Well, the short answer is we learn, understand, and practice the Dharma and keep doing it over and over again. Sounds easy, but how does it work, you may ask? We create the conducive conditions for it to work. The first condition is believe and have faith in ourselves. This belief and faith must start with ourselves, and it helps remove doubts, worries, and anxieties which are holding us back. Once we get rid of them, we can get started. The next condition, next slide, please. Next condition is commitment. When we are committed, we take action and we will progress. Unshakable and unwavering commitments means no retreat. Just keep moving forward, constantly and diligently, regardless of sufferings and hindrances. The next condition is sustainable. It's a very, very long journey of innumerable lifetimes to reach enlightenment. So how are we going to sustain? We must make great vows and form aspirations that will help to pull us forward as we take action. Renew and reaffirm the vows along the way and form new aspirations when our understanding of the Dharma grows. Then we will be recharged and ready to continue on. Next slide, please. Next condition, trust in others. We must have trust in Master as our teacher and guide, and the Tzu Chi organization where we receive training, fellowship, and sustenance for spiritual cultivation. Without this trust, we are alone and stranded. Next condition, be prepared and build confidence. Have an open mind, a humble mind, willing to learn, understand, and practice the Dharma. Experiential learning from practicing enhances understanding and builds up our confidence and determination to continue the cycle of learning, understanding, and practice. Experiential learning can help us progress much faster with quantum jumps whenever we gain new realizations. With these realizations, we can ask ourselves more questions. Then we can learn faster because we will be seeking for answers. But when we have no answers, we ask Brother Joe. Next, right direction and correct path. With Master's guidance, we walk in the right direction. Do not stray from the correct path. Ensure that our actions are tempered with wisdom and consistent with the teachings. Be mindful and self-correct if we are straying away from the path. Next slide. Next condition is courage. You have to build the courage to stay the course. Courageous strength to overcome all obstacles and hindrances caused by our past karma as and when they arise. Perseverance. We build tenacious perseverance to endure all sufferings and diligently progress without stopping nor retreating. Concentrate and focus on the present. As each step we take brings us forward, don't look back. And the last one, companionship. In Tzu Chi, we have living bodhisattvas as companions, walking together on the bodhisattva path. So we have to build affinity with other virtuous and wise brothers and sisters. We cultivate and practice together in this group because it's so tough to do it alone. That's my bit of sharing this morning. Kanan.
Brother Chris, yeah, there is indeed these two words of faith and understanding are so important to us as practitioners. The roots of faith must be deeply planted. Only by having deep faith, we are able to eliminate our own afflictions. And then those contaminations will no longer cover our minds, and we would have the right mindset to move forward. Let's just hear from Brother Joe now. Over to you, Brother Joe.
Okay, thanks, Brother Chris, and thank you, Sharon. Yeah, have problems and ask Brother Joe. That's a very interesting way to look at it. I would like to ask myself too, or perhaps there's a different Brother Joe that we could all ask questions for. Thanks to Brother Chris, I think one of the things that I thought about when we talked about faith and understanding, I think one of the first few slides you mentioned about building that faith. I think just like when at first, when we were born into this world, I think I believe, because I don't quite remember what happened, but I think faith needs to be built. And how do we build it? It's the same way as if you earn your trust with your children or with your parents. At first, your parents would tell you, if you do this, then I will give you this. For example, if you study, then I will do this. And if you don't, maybe I'll beat you, or I will penalize you for whatever, the things that you didn't do. And if you choose to do it and you get the benefits, then you build that trust. If you choose to go against it and you don't get penalized, then the trust fades away. It's the same thing with everything. I think faith and understanding in its core, it's still psychology. It's still, how do you build that trust? And I think we come to have faith in what Master says, in what the Buddha said, because in the past lifetimes, we have already built such strong trust. So recently we were reading the book. We're reading this book, right? And it's in one of the first few chapters. It's the chapter 7, the Phantom City, and the fable of the Phantom City. And I asked the question to the abode masters when we're in a study group. I asked why would all these people, following the guide of the teacher, of the Grand Master, that they would believe when the Grand Master says, over there, just over there, there's a city there that's waiting for you with all the rest you can take. Why would I believe you? Because in the previous road trip, or maybe 10 miles ago, or maybe 10 hours ago, we had the same situation of tiring. And you told us that there was another rest stop, and there was. And we got fully rested, and then we moved on. Because you told us this, and we believed you, and it was really there, the trust formed on top of it. That's why we come to have faith. The faith isn't blind, even though when you were, when you just heard Tzu Chi and you heard Master, you believed it right away. But it was indeed because of the past lifetimes that we were there and we were shown and the trust were built. And that is why. So I think faith and understanding is not blind, and it's not built on empty grounds. It was already there. And how do we build on top of it? By proving that whatever was said and taught really did work. That's how the faith can be built. So everything that we hear here, everything that we learn here, we can apply, and it really did work. That's when the trust and the faith will grow more. So that's how I feel about the faith and understanding. I think one of the key part is keep on seeing the proof and keep on using yourself as the evidence that this does work. Otherwise, the faith will be very difficult to build because it will be fading all the time. Okay, so we have to prove it to ourselves that it does work. I think Sharon is living evidence or proof that something like this work and perseverance is something that really works, something that shows. And every time we hear stories like this, it will give us more faith. And only when it's on ourselves, on our body, would it actually be a lot more evidence and a lot more strength in adding to our faith. Okay, so thanks, Brother Chris. This is a very important topic. Thanks for you to break it down and into pieces for us to digest. And this is indeed what faith and understanding is truly about. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, over to you.
Brother Joe, that's so true. Faith is the mother of all merits. That's what in merit number 8 from the Sutra of the Infinite Meanings. And I always think like that is so true, mother of all merits. Yeah, our next sharer is Brother Robert Lim. Let me just, Brother Robert Lim is a very diligent brother and has been involved in many activities of Tzu Chi. I'm very lucky to have to get to know Brother Robert, and we have also get to spend a bit of time together doing Tzu Chi work. Brother Robert has a passion for Dharma and earnestly practicing the Dharma, walking the Bodhisattva path. Brother Robert also actively promotes recycling and vegetarianism. Today, he'll be sharing with us on episode 20, Developing Deep Roots and Firm Aspirations. And the stanza reads, I'm just looking for my stanza. Never mind. And the stanza reads, in the ocean of enlightened wisdom, the Dharma is boundless. Time and space stretch on at length while we pass through the 3 periods in the flesh. We must protect and preserve our resolve on the body path to enlightenment. Maintain faith and understanding as at the start with deep roots and spiritual aspirations. Over to you, Brother Robert.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, and Brother Joe, and all the Dharma masters. So everything we have to start from the beginning, and that depends, and we have to establish interest in the Dharma. So whatever we listen, we must absorb what the teachings are and understand them. So example, the young boy, the master is very impressed with the young boy because he's very diligent and learning the Dharma, and he doesn't deviate from the teachings of the Tzu Chi bookstore masters. And he absorbed whatever the teachings is, and the mother always is deviate from Tzu Chi's teachings. And she always tried to bring the son to other temples and other teachings. But he told the mother that he want to stick to what Tzu Chi's teachings are. And so he's trying to tell the mother what he has learned, and he wants to learn from there, and he doesn't deviate. So he has a deep interest in the Dharma, what Tzu Chi bookstore learns through listening and understanding. So what we must always respect the Dharma and follow the precepts. And so one thing is about cessation, and the other is practice. So cessation is whatever we do wrong, we should immediately put a stop to it and cease. And practice what means we must be able to uphold the good deeds and all that. So we must learn to do and make sure we can not try to repeat the mistakes we do again. So if we have a bad thought, we should put a stop to it, and we may not trouble others too. So the 10 teaching we must cultivate our wisdom too. And so we have to form deep roots and firm aspirations. And we must form, so we should put a stop to the bad deeds, and we should not cause harm to other people. And so practice is not just practicing, but we must have some spiritual practice. So we must formally engage in spiritual practice, and we do good deeds. So, and we should cultivate goodness. So we can work for the benefit and peace for all people. So there are 10 teachings we have to observe. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no gossiping. And the next slide. Not speaking harshly, not engaged in flattery, no greed, no holding of anger, and no holding of deviant views. So just engage in healing. We know our master always tries to tell us to go vegetarian. So we won't kill. So other people, if we go vegetarian, we'll cease killing, isn't it? So because people have to kill animals and all that to satisfy our we not killing, we also protect the earth, and we also earnestly purify our mind, not to eat. So if we don't think of meat and seafood, whatever, and we don't even, we won't go for it. So there will be stop killing people, animals. We will love animals. So we can protect all life and keep their habitat peaceful and safe. So it's not killing. So we'll go back to the first slide again. So we should not steal. Not stealing, that means we'll stop rob and other people and create disharmony among the people. So we should practice the good deeds of maybe charitable giving. So if you don't steal, we can give. And so no sexual misconduct. If we don't have engaged in sexual misconduct, that means we will create peace for ourselves too, and for our partner. And there will be harmony being husband and wife. So, and then the other one is no lying. No lying is purifying. So we don't speak of, so speaking lies is not good for us. And we don't have to, we have practice good lies. And no gossiping. No gossiping is it cause a lot of conflict between people, so creating something, it's not good for ourselves too. When we tell a lie, we feel guilty of ourselves, so it's not good. And no gossiping. Not gossiping means, you're creating conflicts between people, so you can tell someone is good and then you tell the other one is how bad that person is, and you compare two parties. So it's not good, to fight with each other, and no gossiping. So the next slide, please. Not speaking harshly. So we have to learn. It's the art of speaking. So if we speak harsh and all that, it may create disharmony and misunderstanding and all that, for people. So and then not engaging in flattery. So we should be boastful ourselves, be humble. And then so we don't tell things and all that. And then the other one is no greed. So we shouldn't be greedy. Greedy is not good for us. We know that. We should cease and be, so we be more generous. We can donate, and help others other than greedy, and all that. And then no holding of anger. So another one is anger. If we are angry, we can lose control of ourselves. So it's not good to be angry. So we should cease. And we can create more friendship and understanding. And the last one is no holding of different views. We shouldn't have different views and all that. So we should, so we should stick to one. So if we are going to do Tzu Chi, we should do it properly, and not try to mix with every other teachings and all that. So we could be very confused. So if you want to do good deeds, just do good deeds, and we should try not to deviate from what we are doing. That's all my sharing. Thank you.
Ganan, Brother Robert, so true indeed. In our minds, there's always greed, anger, and ignorance. So the threefold karma of body, speech, mind can be turned from the 10 evils into the 10 good deeds. Knowing how to be a good person is very important as we practice these 10 ways of being world-transcending virtuous people. Let's just hear from Brother Joe. Over to you, Brother Joe.
Okay, thank you. Indeed, thanks to Brother Robert taking us through and taking us back to the 10 benevolence, actions of benevolence. And first of all, let's go to the stories of that little child. And I think it was very heartwarming to see that, because as we can tell, that in this world where there's so much things going on, and there could be so many things that is influencing and that is affecting, influencing how we think and changing our values. It's becoming very different from, say, 50 years ago in the world where Master was born, or when Master started the Tzu Chi Foundation. So it has changed greatly. And since then, we can see that this child, even though it was born in this world and has seen many things, but the child remained very steadfast in knowing the path that is necessary and needing to take. So even share that story where I think Master also mentioned the story where we need to be firm in the path that we want to take. And it just goes to tell you that there are many teachers. We have many teachers in life, and even the young, even the younger ones, the little ones can be wise. But it also brings me to think about what's becoming of this person, what's becoming of this child, and what's becoming of many children that Master had once talked about, how they had manifested this Buddha's hearts of nature, of natural, the Buddha nature. And so I think it is very difficult to sustain that level of purity. And look at ourselves too. I'm sure when we were young, we were different too. And have we become better? And have we become more pure? Or have we learned? Or do we learn more to be contaminated? And I think those are the things that brought to my mind. Going back to the 10 acts of benevolence, or the 10, I don't know if it's the 10 precepts, but the 10 practices, the 10 teachings. One of the things that I wrote down was particularly about the speaking, right? Particularly about speaking. I think whatever you say, whatever the words that comes out of your mouth, whether it's gossiping or whether it's speaking harshly, it all comes from the very last one, which is the deviant view. And no matter what the actions you do, the words you say, the thoughts you have, it all comes from deviant view. And if you go back to the 3 poisons, it comes from ignorance. It comes from the wrong view. And that's why Master always says that if you deviate just by a little bit, when it goes unto the very end of time, it could actually deviate by a whole lot, miles and miles and thousands of miles. And what does that mean? It means that it starts as a thought, a very small thought, in a glimpse of an eye, in a very instant, there's a thought. And then when it translates into an eventual action, and the action could actually multiply, right? So a thought in you would be greed or anger. And then you say something. It's probably a lot more than when that thought began. And then when you say something, the effects of your words goes to other people, and other people heard it, the effects are multiplied. And that is when it gets spread out even more and more and more. And that is why Master says, when you deviate by even a little bit, the effect of it could be multiplied thousandfold. So all the things that we see, right, the practices of not doing all these things, it all starts from a deviant view. And it all starts from a very, very little part in your mind that thought, I want this, or I don't like this, or I'm angry. It all starts from there, and everything will multiply from that point on. And the problem is we don't see that multiplication until it happens all the way at the end. And I just saw somebody mention just like forest fire. Yeah, indeed. Sister Tzu Chi, indeed. It's just like forest fire. We don't see the forest fire. If we did, we wouldn't do it, but we didn't. And sometimes it's not enough to know that it might happen, because we always risk it. And we always think that it's not going to happen, but it did. It's just like COVID-19. You would think that it's okay. I don't need to wear a mask, and it's not going to happen to me. If you see the end result, then you would be fearful of it, but you don't. And that's what Buddha came to this world to tell us the suffering, right? Buddha told us the suffering, which is the end result. He told us the end result first, just like a wise man tells you that there is going to be a fire. And then if you believe, just like what Brother Chris says, if you have faith and understanding, if you believe that there is going to be a fire, then you would not start even doing the very sparkling things that the small actions and deviant views that you might have. So it all starts from the back all the way to the front, because we don't see the back. We don't see what's going to happen in the future. So Buddha told us what's going to happen in the future, which is suffering. And then it goes backwards to tell us how do we stop it. So I think that all the 10 teachings, it all boils down to the deviant view. If you can stop, if you can make sure that you have the right view, that would be probably the very important first step that we need to take. So that's my feedback. Thanks, Brother Robert, and thanks to everybody for sharing. And we're gonna see Master De Huang also is also preparing something to share with us. And unless we have more, I thought let's hand back to Sister Sharon first and see if what's next. If not, if that's the end of the sharing, then we could hand it over to Master De Huang, who has words of wisdom to share with us. Thank you.
Kanan, Brother Robert. Yes, let's just seize our moment and the time, and then and listen to what Master De Huang sharing. And I just want to say, Kanan, for everyone, a very heartful and wisdom sharing this morning, and very grateful, and thank you to all brothers and sisters. I'll hand over to you, Sister Lily.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for all the wonderful sharings. Okay, I think let us hand over to Master De Huang.
Hi, good morning. Auspicious greeting to everyone. And actually, it's just like not like what Brother Joe mentioned just now. Actually, I have not prepared anything. I just came couple of minutes ago, and he just say, would you like to give some feedback regarding what the Brother Robert been sharing just now? Actually, when I first arrived there, I just saw the Brother Robert just mentioned about the practicing of the 10 teachings, which is I saw there's a compound combined with like speaking not speaking harshly words or something. So I think just like the beginning when I say auspicious greeting, I think this is like I practicing trying to speak good word each day that I meet people. So, but I think the more important thing is like for this 10 principles or the 10 precepts that we, or not just for Tzu Chi members, but for all Buddhist people must be carrying on and practicing every day. So it just remind me for the principles, the true principles, which is we have learned from the Buddha over 2,500 years ago. And I think this true principles was passing on since over so many 25 decades ago. So I think that it's good for us to learn the right thing from what we learn from the right person. So it reminds me that we still remember we have during the COVID-19 in India, and actually for our Tzu Chi organization, we have been working with a couple of parties to carry our relief aids to India with different like camellias or the missionary of charity in India. So I think as I search from internet regarding the member of this we have been working with, this is I mean, we have been working, our Tzu Chi Foundation has been working with the branch in India of this camellias. It came about follow as last year, April. But I think we know that this person, recently Masters been mentioned, they have filled of the volunteers who's been devoted themselves, walk into the hospital to do their service, and with their, wholeheartedly and with a very sincerity to serve those needy people, for those patients, or even though for the staff, working staff there, the frontline workers. So I think since they carry on this spirit of helping people without, I mean, I'm bearing regarding the variant of concern, which is might be infected to themselves, but yet they still want to devote themselves and helping the needy people. I think this is the spirit that they've been learned from their founder of this chameleons, which is that they serve the people, especially for the needy people. So it reminds us that as we are Tzu Chi volunteers and we follow our master's teaching, so I think it's also for us to follow our master's teaching, and we're passing on the right principles from our generation to next generation. I think this is, we must, passing down. So this is just, I want to mention that it's very important for everyone to live out the true principles for daily life. Is not that easy, even though we always say, I'm a good person, but if you ask you to do some good thing, maybe you will say, I have no time, and you have a lot of reason to excuse. So the more important thing is speak word is rather than, I think take action is more than speaking good words. Yeah. So I think this is my feedback regarding for what just now I've been listening to Brother Robert mentioned just now regarding not speaking husband word. Yeah, thank you.
Cảm ơn Master The Huang for the great feedback.